I really appreciate you tuning in. In the last lesson, we saw that Moses had been on that mountain with the Lord, receiving instructions for 40 days and 40 nights, and they come to Aaron and say, "Hey, yeah, we don't know what's happened to this guy. You make us an idol, and we'll worship it." And of course, Aaron gave in to that peer pressure and made an idol of a golden calf. And while Moses is up with God, God knows exactly what's going on. See, this is the thing, right? We think there are things that we're doing that God doesn't know about, but God is, He's omniscient, omnipotent. He's all knowing, He's all powerful, and He's everywhere. So it's not like we're pulling something off and God didn't see it or know about it. Moses didn't know about it because he was up on the mountain communing with God. But the Lord tells him to go down, and Moses intercedes for them before he even goes down. So in verse 15, then Moses turned and went down from the mountain with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands, tablets that were written on both sides, on the front and on the back. They were written. The tablets were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God engraved on the tablets. So in this section, we get a very clear idea that God crafted these tablets and wrote with his own hand. When God writes with his own hand, it is not just a miraculous manifestation, but it often comes as a sign of judgment. And that is what the law will do, will judge our sin. And so with these 2 tablets of stone, with the 10 commandments written on the 2 tablets on both sides, here comes Moses down from the mountain. And when Joshua, who was his servant, heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moses, "There is a noise of war in the camp." But he said, "It is not the sound of shouting for victory or the sound of the cry of defeat, but the sound of singing that I hear." And as soon as he came near the camp and saw the calf and dancing, Moses' anger burned hot, and he threw the tablets out of his hand, and he broke them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf that they had made and burned it with fire and ground it into powder and scattered it on the water and made the people of Israel drink it. Now, a couple things I want you to observe. One, God, who is love, is also capable of anger. Now, we sometimes as believers think that all of our anger is wrong, that we're just supposed to be a loving people, as if anger was in conflict with love. But I'd like to propose to you that when Jesus became angry, when he became angry with the Pharisees, when he went into the temple grounds and overturned the tables in the court of the Gentiles, he was angry. And his anger, it was an expression of his love. God's anger is always an aspect of his love, as difficult as it is for us to understand or grasp. His anger is not unhinged. It's deliberate. Even from our small human perspective, we don't understand. It may seem unhinged. It may seem overblown, but we know by the character of God that even his anger is an expression of his love, his holiness, all that he is. And so Moses see what's going on. They've not only created an idol that they've been told not to make any images of God, not to worship any idols. And simply 40 days later, here they are doing exactly what they said they would not do. And they were angry. But the Bible tells us not that we should never be angry, but to be angry and sin not. You see, when they made this idolatry, they blasphemed God, because the God of the universe cannot be depicted in images of stone. He threw it into the fire. He melted it down, and he says, now drink it. And Moses said to Aaron, what did the people do that you have brought such a great sin upon them? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord burn hot. You know the people that they are set on evil. For they said to me, make us gods who shall go before us. And as for Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. So I said to them, let any who have gold take it off. So they gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf. Well, Aaron was covering his own rear end because he simply gave in to the pressure. It is true, they were a people bent on evil. But we remember that our life in the world has consequences. And when we choose to sin, it is like we give the Gentile world, the unbelieving world, a reason, cause to blaspheme the name of God. In 2 Samuel 12:14, speaking about David's sin with Bathsheba, he says, however, because by this deed you have given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also who is born to you shall surely die. David received forgiveness, but there were consequences. How you and I live in the world when we sin and do evil gives the unbelieving world opportunity to blaspheme God. In Romans 2:24, Paul says, for as it is written, the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you. He was saying the way you're living in the world is giving the unbelieving world opportunity to blaspheme. Friends, we who are in Christ and have been forgiven and have Christ's life living in us should live true to our true self, to not be hypocritical, to not give the unbelieving world reason to blaspheme, to question the good news, but live true to our true self. If we present ourselves as good people who are perfect and then live imperfectly, well, then we give them reason to blaspheme. But if we live in the world as guilty people who've been redeemed, we are not hypocrites. So live true to your true self.